Now, almost 9,000 applications were received by the National Student Financial Aid Scheme for the 2026 Higher Education and Training academic year, with first-time entry students accounting for more than 700,000 applications, while over 1,000 applications came from senior students. After it received criticism on the allocation of accommodation allowances in the past few years, NSFAS says it is implementing a transitional framework designed to facilitate the shift towards a more centralised, transparent and student-focused accommodation system that will ensure a seamless process for the allocation and management of accommodation. For more on this, we are joined in studio now by Ishmael Mnisi, who is the NSFAS spokesperson. Ishmael, thanks for coming. It's good to have you here in studio with us.
My pleasure to be here, Leanne.
Good, pleasure. So let's have a look at what's going on, because recently, as we all know, the SIU returned 1.7 billion rand to the National Student Financial Aid Scheme as part of the 2 billion rand that the SIU has so far received from universities, TVET colleges and unqualified former students allocated between 2016 and 2021. Talk to me about this.
Well, Leanne, firstly, we commend the work that has been done by the SIU. Of course, in collaboration with us as the National Student Financial Aid Scheme following the presidential proclamation. Now, significant ground work has been done in this instance, and the money has been recovered with the cooperation of institutions themselves, both universities and TVET colleges. From our perspective, that money is money that will assist us to fund students. As we have just indicated, the numbers of students that we are currently having would need more money for us to be able to implement our mandate. Hence, that money solely will be meant to support the deserving students.
Well, I mean, it is a lot of money, and we do hope that these reach the intended students that need this, and that's what's important. So let's now start at the basics and talk about those that actually qualify for NSFAS. Which students qualify for this?
Our criteria is in twofold. Firstly, all the students whose parents' joint income is 350,000 per annum qualifies for a bursary, and for a student with disabilities, it's 600,000 per annum. The criteria, we're looking at that financial viability of parents, and secondly, we're looking at the academic performance of students. So both our means test for us to grant our bursary.
Yeah. Now, I know that you've already basically confirmed and finalized the 2026 intake, and from what I'm reading, you received 893,847 applicants, and as you mentioned, this has been completed. So break this down for us. So anybody that's trying to apply now, it's closed. Is that correct?
Correct, Leanne.
So they must apply for next year already. Correct.
You are very correct. We've closed on the 15th of November, and we gave outcomes from the 15th of December 2025. So now that's why we have confirmed how many students will be funding this year, both for universities and TVET colleges. And I must indicate that the majority of those students that we are going to fund this year are from SASA recipients. So that shows that our means test talks to them, the downtrodden part of our communities, of our societies, and that's what the need for NSFAS to actually extend its services more to reach towards that cohort of students. But of course, we do have those that are outside of that cohort, and which also we are funding, and the ones that we're also catering for through our loan scheme.
So, I mean, I see some, obviously finalising it towards the end of the year, and that was last year. Those that get their matric results, at the beginning of this year and have done incredibly well, and they would like to study because, they didn't know beforehand. What happens then?
Look, our application allows students, matriculants, actually to give us their previous preliminary results as part and parcel of the application process. So we accommodate them, and institutions wait for them to, of course, succeed in their matric. And of course, we would have issued confirmation, preliminary results that pending their final results will accept them and fund them. So as soon as institutions accept them, NSFAS processes kicks in.
Okay, all right. So that's, that's a message to those matric students out there, submit those results, just the grade 11 results and those preliminary results, put them through, and hopefully you do even better. So just to confirm, 609,403 qualified.
Yes.
So that's the amount.
That's the number. But remember, we still had those that about 218,000 of them that we wanted them to send documents for us to finalize their application. So we continuously receiving those documents so that we can validate them and ensure that they are included in the cohort of students that would have qualified to receive NSFAS.
I want to talk a little bit about the accommodation payments and transitional framework, because we started the interview by talking about some of the criticism over accommodation allowances, and NSFAS basically saying that you are implementing a transitional framework for centralised, transparent, student-focused accommodation management. Let's go into this. Talk to me about that.
Well, firstly, that framework is informed by consultations that we've held with the sector to say how do we best respond to the challenges in student accommodation. And we came up with that framework, canvassed it throughout the sector. And the main focus of it is to ensure that we don't have delays in the payments of allowances. And how do we do that? We aligned the calendar of the accommodation calendar with our intake of students, and when universities open, close, when they need to move in and move out of the accommodation, to make sure that we have that seamless process, which will then assist us when we start to make payments on student accommodation. So that alignment is quite important. But the second part of it is the payment of the allowances themselves. We are very clear that we would only pay for accommodation providers, private accommodation providers that have accredited with NSFAS. And we are then saying through our reconciliation process, monthly reconciliation process, we'll then be able to align the payments with the number of students that are staying in those establishments, private establishments. So it makes it seamless in that manner, preparing for us a complete internalized system of paying off managing student accommodation within NSFAS. That is the ultimate goal that we are trying to manage. But you know that currently we've got service providers that we're working with who are assisting us to facilitate the accommodation processes. Okay,
so that's something we'll keep on watching and ensure that this goes smoothly, because this has been a massive challenge in the past years. And, I imagine that this is a great worry. I mean, we have seen universities basically being shut down because students are so disappointed. I mean, they've got nowhere to stay. Some are sleeping in their cars. Some, are sleeping on the pavements outside the varsities. I mean, it has been a great challenge and a disservice to these students. So this year, can we get assurances from you that it's going to be smoother?
We are working very close with all our institutions. Our servicing administrators are deployed in our universities and TVET colleges. We are currently monitoring what is happening in each and every institution. We have seen also the minister, the deputy ministers, the DGs, and the sector itself working together to ensure that we have a seamless beginning of the 2026 academic year. We also are very grateful to the student leadership because they've upped their communication in various platforms, sharing information that we are sharing with them to students, so that to make sure that we move all of us with the same understanding of how we are going to deal with the issues of registration, the payments of allowances, including the upfront payments that we've committed to make as NSFAS by beginning of this month.
So just a few questions coming in, and I'm seeing these coming from viewers, just asking, are there avenues available for a student who basically would like to appeal an application failure and to come in and say, well, please reconsider it. Can I appeal this negative status?
Of course, they have an opportunity to appeal. However, we extended it up until the 31st of January. Because of we gave students 30 days to appeal from the time they receive information from us on the status of their application. Now, we then had to make a decision to extend it, and the deadline was the 31st of January.
Yeah, all right. So answer to your question, no, not if you haven't. The deadline was the 31st of January, unfortunately. So at this point, a negative status is a negative status. You can't appeal, but you can look to hopefully study next year if that's what you would like to do. I want to talk to you about the management at the moment of NSFAS, because NSFAS has had incredibly difficult governance issues. It really has. I mean, even when we looked at a statement coming out from the National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union, NEHAU, when obviously they welcomed that 1.7 billion rand recovery, but they went on to call it an indictment on NSFAS governance and urged accountability at executive and oversight levels. These are scathing words towards the management of NSFAS and the problems that happen there in NSFAS. What's being done to clean it up?
Well, let's give credit where it's due. We have a new board that came in last year, and they've hit the ground running with a 6-point plan to turn around NSFAS. And we've seen how the board and its committees have been committed to ensuring that issues of governance are cleared. Subcommittees are set up, board committees that deals with issues of governance in various respects, and we have seen significant improvements in our systems, including accountability to the AG in terms of our financials, and also looking at the performance of the organization, which is improving gradually. Now, again, the most important thing to mention is how the board is stabilizing management at NSFAS.
Has anyone been held accountable as yet?
Of course. If you look at what happened previously in terms of the reports that we have received of malfeasance within the organization, we now don't have a permanent CEO having an acting CEO. That indicates that there has been accountability at the senior level of the organization, and we have had other senior managers being taken into account in terms of their involvement in as far as the malfeasance that took place before. We are seeing the stabilization of the organization by filling up of the key position within the echelons of NSFAS. We have made significant appointments, and we are looking forward to the appointment of the CEO, permanent CEO, in the coming months, because the board is seized to make sure that we stabilize at that level as well.
Indeed, and most importantly, that the students can actually have the funds that have been allocated for them to be used to their use and used properly. Just as we wrap up, I know we've literally got a couple of seconds here, but do we have a framework that we're working towards? Obviously, you said within a few months there'll be a CEO, but in terms of transparency and this transitional framework to ensure that compliance is assessed and met, is this in place?
Yes, of course, we do have our performance agreements that we have signed with the department, with the board, the department, and we're held accountable by Parliament itself. If there are lapses in terms of those agreements, the red flags will be there. Accountability as well is ensured by working with the AG, SA, and also with other government oversight institutions to make sure that we account for each and every little thing that we do as NSFAS. And we're very cognizant of the work ahead in terms of ensuring that we deliver according to our mandate as an organization.
Well, let's hope that all of these payments, these March 1st tranche payments are smooth, come through, and accommodation, and we'll definitely keep in touch with students to find out that this is working a lot better after some very chaotic previous years, but we're getting assurances that things are definitely changing. NSFAS talking to us here, the spokesperson, Ishmael Mnisi, thank you very, very much for coming in to update us on the preparations for the 2026 Higher Education and Training academic year.